जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We'll continue with our reading from Canto 9, Chapter 4, titled Ambarish Maharaj Offended by Durvasa Muni. And we'll be reading text 13 through 20 today, and then our focus verse is 18 to 20. This is very, really famous verse. So we'll do the Mangalacharan before, but please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. We can do the Mangalacharan together. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So we're on text 13 today. So who are we discussing about in the 9th canto? Does anybody remember? How did the 9th canto begin? Yeah, Vaivashvata Manu, right? The Vaivashvata Manu. So the first, cantos before that, there is an acronym my spiritual master uses. It's called DAPUP. The first Manu was Swayambhava Manu, and he had how many children? We started off the Bhagavatam with this, right? No, 5. And the acronym for that is DAPUP. Devahuti, Akuti, Prasuti, Uttanapada, Priyavrata. So all these cantos, starting from 3rd canto, we've been seeing about these devotees, Devahuti and Karidva Muni, right? This is 3rd canto. 4th canto, we saw Akuti. Akuti's daughter was Sati, right? Prasuti, that's Prasuti. Akuti was married to Vishnu himself, right? Yajna. So we saw that. And then Prasuti was married to Daksha, and we saw the story of Sati. Uttanapada, who was the main character in the Uttanapada section? No? Dhruva Maharaj. He was the son of Uttanapada, right? Yeah. And then Priyavrata, who was in his dynasty, the great devotee? Rishabdev, Bharat Maharaj, right? We see all of those. And then we saw Prahlad Maharaj. And then we've been seeing these devotees one after another in the Srimad Bhagavatam, who are all incredibly great, but then they've been one better than the other in terms of their devotion to Krishna. And here we're going to see somebody who is really up there. Before we get into the 10th canto, we are really high up in the body of Krishna, right? This is the Srimad Bhagavatam is compared to the body of Krishna. The first 2 cantos starting with the lotus feet, going all the way to his lotus face and forehead and the crown in the 12th canto. So this chapter is speaking about Ambarish Maharaj. In the verses that we're going to discuss now, we're going to introduce somebody who was incredibly exalted. We've seen so many exalted devotees so far in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but Ambarish Maharaj was incredible, and we'll see why. So let's start with the translation for text 13. Whoever has the mic.
From Nabhaga, Maharaj Ambarish took birth. Maharaj Ambarish was an exalted devotee, celebrated for his great merits. Although he was cursed by an infallible Brahmin, the curse could not touch him.
You could see how incredible Shukadev Goswami is, right? He's adding these hooks. Shukadev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. He's speaking about Ambarish Maharaj. He could have just left it at, he had great merits. He was an incredible devotee. But what was his great merit? He's saying he was cursed by a Brahmana, but he couldn't touch it. But think about the person listening to this. Who is listening to what Shukadev Goswami is saying? Yeah, he was cursed by a Brahmana, right? It's naturally invoking his curiosity. Is really somebody who was cursed by a Brahmana? How is it possible? Yeah.
King Parikshit inquired, "O great personality, Maharaja Ambarish was certainly most exalted and meritorious in character. I wish to hear about him. How surprising it is that the curse of a Brahmin, which is insurmountable, could not be upon him."
Could not act upon him. Yeah.
Text 15 and 16. Shukadev Goswami said, Maharaj Ambarish, the most fortunate personality, achieved the rule of the entire world, consisting of 7 islands, and achieved inexhaustible, unlimited opulence and prosperity on earth. Although such a position is rarely obtained, Maharaj Ambarish did not care for it all, for he knew very well that all such opulence is material. Like that which is imagined in a dream, such opulence will ultimately be destroyed. The king knew that any non-devotee who attains such opulence merges increasingly into material nature's mode of darkness.
Yeah. So this was, Ambarish Maharaj was not just any king, he was the emperor of the entire world. His grandfather Nabhaga, right? His father is Nabhaga, but his grandfather basically had nothing, right? He was in the forest doing his penance, and then when he came back, his brothers had actually divided their wealth among themselves. And then his father, Ambarish Maharaj's father, Nabhaga, seems like he became the king. And then Ambarish Maharaj is even more opulent. He is the emperor of the entire universe, and yet he is completely not enamored by all the material opulence that he has. So we'll see why. Please continue.
Maharaj Ambarish was a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva and of the saintly persons who are the Lord's devotees. Because of this devotion, he thought of the entire universe as being as insignificant as a piece of stone.
This entire universe. Okay, this is what, these are 3 verses. This is a really famous, these are really 3 famous verses. So we'll recite it once and then you can probably repeat the first one. So we'll do the 3 verses, call and repeat, and then we can do the first one. You can repeat the first one. Savai mana Krishna padara vindayor Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanuvarnane Karau Harer Mandiramarjanadishu Shrutim Chakarachuta Satkatodhaye Mukundalinga Laya Darshane Drishau Tadbhritya Ghatrasparshenga Sangamam Ghranam cha tatpada saroja saurabhe Srimad tulasya rasanam tadarpite Padau hare kshetra padhanu sarpane Shiro Hrishikesha padhabhivandane Kamam cha dasye natu kama kamyaya Yatottama shloka janashrayarati. Somebody wants to do the first verse? Savai mana Krishna padhara vindayor Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanuvarnane Haro Harer Mandiramarjanadishu Shrutim Chakarachuta Satkatodhaye Savai mana Krishna padara vindayor Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanuvarnane. Nice. Karau Harer Mandiramarjanadishu Shrutim Chakarachuta Satkatodhaye Savai mana Krishna padara vindayor Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanuvarnane Karau Harer Mandira Marjanadishu Shrutim Chakarachyuta Satkatodhaye Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayor Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanuvarnane Karau Harer Mandira Marjanadishu Shrutim Shakarachyuta Satkatodaye. Okay. Let's try to do the word for word without getting to the word for word. Don't go there. Just stick to the first paragraph. First verse. Do you recognize any of the words here? Mana is mind. Then Krishna is Padaravinda, lotus feet. Pada is feet and Aravinda is lotus, right? Okay. So he was always thinking about the lotus feet of the Lord. Then Vachamsi, what does it mean? Yeah. Have you heard this word before? Vachan, or the verse Vacho Vegam. Right? Yeah. Arjuna Vacha, Bhagavan Vacha. With his speech, what was he doing? Vaikunta Gunarnu Varnane. Yeah. Describe. And then Guna are the different, describing the different qualities of the spiritual world and Krishna and everything. Right? And Karau? Yeah. Where have you heard that word? We do sing it every day. Tava Kara Kamalavare. Right? We're speaking about Rishingadev's hands. Karau Harer Mandira Marjanadishu. Yeah. Mandira Marjanadishu. Where have we heard this? Every day we do sing this also. Yeah. Guru Ashtaka. Shringaratan Mandira Marjanadav. Okay. And then Shrutim. What does that mean? Shruti means that which is heard. Right? Shruti means hearing. Chakarachyuta Sat Kathodaye. This is a little difficult. But Kathodaye? Katha is to hear the narrations, right? Pastimes of the Lord. So you see, there are nice simple words. We can go on doing this during the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then we start building our own vocabulary when we're doing this across verses. And then we can connect it. Where else we have heard these words? Okay, let's do the word for word now. Let's go to the word for word. And we can do this together. Saha, he, Maharaj Ambarish. Why, indeed. Manaha, his mind. Krishna pada aravindhayo, fixed upon the two lotus feet of the Lord Krishna. Vachamsi, his words. Vaikunta guna anuvarnane, describing the glories of Krishna. Karau, his two hands. Hare mandira marjanadishu, in activities like cleansing the temple of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shrutim, his ear. Chakara, engaged. Achyuta, of or about Krishna, who never falls down. So this is the meaning of Achyuta. Chuta means to fall. Achyuta means one who never falls down, or one who is infallible. Yeah. Sat Kata Udaye, in hearing the transcendental narrations. Mukunda Linga Alaya Darshane, in seeing the deity and temples and holy dhamas of Mukunda. Drishav, his two eyes. Tadbhritya, of the servants of Krishna. Gatra Sparshe, in touching the bodies. Anga Sangamam, contact of his body. Ghranam Cha, and his smell of and his sense of smell. Tatpada, of his lotus feet. Saroja, of the lotus flower. Saurabhe, in smelling the fragrance. Srimad Tulasya, of the tulsi leaves. Rasanam, his tongue. Tat Arpite, in the prasada offered to the Lord. Padav, his two legs. Hare, of the personality of Godhead. Kshetra, holy places like the temple or Vrindavan and Dwaraka. Padanusarpane, walking to those places. Shira, the head. Rishikesha, of Krishna, the master of the senses. Pada abhivandane, in offering obeisances to the lotus feet. Kamam cha, and his desires. Dasye, in being engaged as a servant. Na, not. Tu, indeed. Kama kamyaya, with a desire for sense gratification. Yata, as. Uttama shloka jana ashraya, if one takes shelter of a devotee such as Prahlad. Rati, attachment. Prabhupada could have used any devotee's name, right? The verse doesn't have Prahlad in it. But in translation, Prabhupada uses such as Prahlad. We can see how exalted Prahlad is. Translation. Maharaj Ambarish always engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna, his words in describing the glories of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the Lord's temple, his ears in hearing the words spoken by Krishna or about Krishna. He engaged his eyes in seeing the deity of Krishna, Krishna's temples, and Krishna's places like Mathura and Vrindavan. He engaged his sense of touch in touching the bodies of the Lord's devotees. He engaged his sense of smell in smelling the fragrance of tulsi offered to the Lord, and he engaged his tongue in tasting the Lord's prasada. He engaged his legs in walking to the holy places and temples of the Lord, his head in bowing down before the Lord, and all his desires in serving the Lord 24 hours a day. Indeed, Maharaj Ambarish never desired anything for his own sense gratification. He engaged all his senses in devotional service in various engagements related to the Lord. This is the way to increase attachment for the Lord and be completely free from all material desires. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In Bhagavad Gita 7.1, the Lord recommends Maya Shaktamana Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashraya. This indicates that one must execute devotional service under the guidance of a devotee or directly under the guidance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not possible, however, to train oneself without the guidance from the spiritual master. Therefore, according to the instructions of Srila Rupa Goswami, the first business of a devotee is to accept a bona fide spiritual master who can train him to engage his various senses in rendering transcendental service to the Lord. Where does Rupa Goswami say this? No. It is nectar of devotion. Did you say nectar of devotion? Yeah. Yeah, it is nectar of devotion. And where does he say it in the nectar of devotion? The first thing he says in the limbs of devotional service, right, is Guru Padashraya. The first thing we have to do before even we execute all the other 64 limbs of devotional service that he describes is to first take the shelter of the spiritual master. That's what Srila Prabhupada is paraphrasing here. The Lord also says in Bhagavad Gita 7.1, Asamshayam samagram mam yatagnyāsyasi tachrunu. In other words, if one wants to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead in completeness, one must follow the prescriptions given by Krishna by following in the footsteps of Maharaj Ambarish. It is said, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. Bhakti means to engage the senses in the service of the master of the senses, Krishna, who is called Rishikesha or Achyuta. These words are used in these verses. Achyuta Sat Katodhaye, Rishikesha Padhabi Vandane. The words Achyuta and Rishikesha are also used in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is Krishna Katha, spoken directly by Krishna, and Srimad Bhagavatam is also Krishna Katha because everything described in Bhagavatam is in relationship with Krishna. You could have taken this verse in so many different ways, right? It's always amazed by how Prabhupada writes his purports and what he chooses to focus on. There are at least 16 things that is described here on what Maharaj Ambarish was doing, right? Savai Mana Krishna Padaravandiyo. You could have focused on Ambarish Maharaj fixing his mind on the lotus feet of the Lord, and how he was using his hands and how he was using his speech and so many different things that Maharaj Ambarish was performing. And yet, what does Srila Prabhupada choose to focus on? Yeah, because that is the most fundamental thing in order for us to do all of the things that Maharaj Ambarish is doing. Without taking the shelter of a spiritual master, we will not be able to do all of the things that Maharaj Ambarish is doing properly. This is the point. And Prabhupada is quoting this verse from the Gita 7.1. Maya Sakta Manapartha. Do you know what's special about this verse? Yeah, that's really special, yes. Along with the 700 verses. But what is specifically special about 7.1? It is not the Chatushloki, it is not the final instructions of Krsna in the Gita, it is 7.1. Right? You can know me in full, Krishna says, yes. But this is the verse I think Prabhupada has given the most classes on. Maya Shakta, I think around 20 classes or 22 classes. Maya Shakta Manapartha. Prabhupada chose to give 21 classes on this verse. So, something about this verse. So, Krishna mentions in that verse, right? Maya Shakta Manapartha Yogam Yunjan Mad Ashraya. Ashraya means take shelter of me. So, this is the foremost or the most important thing that we can inculcate is taking shelter of Krishna. Since we don't have Krishna manifest in front of us, Yeah, you could translate it in several different ways, right? Yeah. Ashraya is shelter, so you can take that in that sense also, which is the sense that Prabhupada is indicating in this purport. So directly under the guidance of Krishna, or we take shelter of Krishna through a bona fide spiritual master, which is the first thing Rupa Goswami says, and we are Rupanugas. Right, we take the instructions of Rupa Goswami very seriously. So this is the first thing that we have to do in order for us to do all the things that Maharaj Ambarish was doing, in order for us to even attempt to do what Maharaj Ambarish was doing. Right? This is why Maharaj Ambarish is considered one of the greatest devotees of the Lord. There is a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Actually, this is from the Padyavali, I think. It says, Shri Vishnu Shravane Parikshida Bhavat Vaiyasaki Kirtane Prahlada Smarane Tadangri Bhajane Lakshmi Pratu Pujane Akrurastva Bhivandane Kapipatir Dasyeta Sakyarjuna Sarvasmatma Nivedane Balirabhut Krishna Tiresham Para. It describes all these wonderful devotees, right? In this verse you've heard so many wonderful devotees and how they attain perfection. The first is Shri Vishnu Shravane Parikshira Bhavat. It describes all the 9 kinds of devotional service or the process of devotional service that we can perform, which are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Right? This is who gave us these 9 processes? Prahlad Maharaj. So now in this verse, it describes all these devotees who took up at least one of these processes and attained perfection. The example for Shravanam is given by Parikshit Maharaj. Right? He attained perfection just by hearing. Shri Vishnu Shravane Parikshita Bhavat Vaiyasaki Kirtane. Who is Vaiyasaki? No. Yeah, son of Vyasadeva is called Vaiyasaki. He's Sukadev Goswami. Attained perfection by Kirtan, right? The entire Srimad Bhagavatam, by glorifying the Lord, he attained perfection. Prahlada Smarane, right? Tadangri Bhajane Lakshmi. So Smaran, the devotee who attained perfection by Smarana is Prahlad. Padasevanam is Lakshmi Devi. She's always serving the lotus feet of the Lord. And then Prithu Pujane. What is after one Padasevanam? Archanam, right? Performing deity worship. Vandanam is, what is Vandanam? Yeah, offering prayers, nice prayers to the Lord. And who was the devotee who attained perfection by offering prayers to the Lord? Akrura, right? Akrurastva bivandane kapipatir dasya. So for dasya, being the servant of the Lord, there is nobody else you can think of other than Hanumanji. Kapi is monkey. And we have the Kapidhwaja. Where was the Kapidhwaja? Do you remember? On Arjuna's chariot, right? Hanumanji was there in Arjuna's chariot. And yesterday was just Vijayadashami. And Hanumanji was an important part in the victory of Lord Ram over Ravana. So Dasya is Hanumanji. Dasyeta Sakyarjuna. Arjuna is the example of attaining perfection through friendship. Sarvasvatma nivedane bhalirabhut. For Atma Nivedan, we just read about Bali Maharaj, right, in the 8th canto. So these devotees attain perfection by just performing one process of devotional service among the 9. But Ambarish Maharaj was such an exalted devotee that he was performing all 9 processes of devotional service, which is what is described in this verse. Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayor. Which limb is that indicating? Which limb or which process is that indicating? The first one, Savai Mana Krishna. The mind? Smaran, right? He was always thinking about the Lord. And then he was meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord, which is Smaran, right? Which is and then Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanu Varnane, which is speech is what? Kirtanam. He was doing Kirtanam. His hands in cleansing the Lord's temple. What would that come under? Yeah, Archanam, right? It would come under Archanam. His ears in hearing the words spoken by Krishna or about Krishna, which is Shravan. So I think we've covered the 4 now. He engaged his eyes in seeing the deity of Krishna, Krishna's temples and Krishna's places like Mathura and Vrindavan, which would be again Archanam, right? He engaged and also hands in cleansing the Lord's temple, they say would also come under Pada Sevanam. This is also under these 2. He engaged his eyes in seeing the deity, okay, that we discussed. He engaged his sense of touch in touching the bodies of the Lord's devotees. What does that mean? Yeah, he was trying to serve the devotees of the Lord, right? Which is also again Pada Sevanam. He engaged his sense of smell in smelling the fragrance of tulasi offered to the Lord. Yeah, which would be Archanam again. And he engaged his tongue in tasting the Lord's prasad. He engaged his legs in walking to the holy places. This is again considered Pada Sevanam, temples of the Lord. His head in bowing down before the Lord. Would say service. This is Vandanam actually. Yeah. And all his desires in serving the Lord 24 hours a day. Indeed, Maharaj Ambarish never desired anything for his own sense gratification, which is Dasyam, right? Everything that he did was so that he could serve the Lord. He did nothing for his own sense gratification. He engaged all his senses in devotional service and various engagements related to the Lord. And we haven't read this yet, but we know that Krishna gave something really important to him, to Maharaj Ambarish. What did he give? Yeah, he gave his Sudarshan Chakra to him. You please have it. which the Acharyas say is Sakya. They had something more than just Dasya. They had something more than just servitude. They had an intimate friendship going on where Krishna was ready to give his own Sudarshan Chakra, the most powerful weapon in the universe, to Maharaj Ambarish. And we know what the Sudarshan Chakra was doing. It would chase Durvasa Muni in the future. And he was doing everything for Krishna, which is Atmanivedanam. So like this, Maharaj Ambarish was such an exalted devotee of the Lord that he was not just performing 1, 2 or 3 processes of devotional service, but he was performing all the 9 processes of devotional service. So much so that Krishna was ready to give him his own Sudarshan Chakra. But all of this can be done. Basically, the verse says all of this is done so that we can achieve one thing. What is that? Prema Bhakti. Yeah, to get attachment to Krishna. This is the point, right? He was the king, and he had incredible power, incredible opulence, incredible influence, and he could do anything and everything that he wanted. So the easiest thing would have been for him to be enamored by all of the power and wealth and opulence that he had, right? But something else was stopping him from being attracted to all of those things, which was his attachment to Krishna, right? So this is the natural way in which we attain attachment to Krishna. It is not that we start with renunciation first. He could have just said what Arjun was saying in the Gita, right? Oh, Krishna, I don't want to fight the battle. I really don't want this kingdom. What am I going to do with this kingdom when nobody is there to share this kingdom with? Let me go to the forest and just be. He was trying to renounce everything. Maharaj Ambarish was really, really renounced that he didn't even care about his own life. That's how renounced he was. He didn't even ask the Lord for his protection when Durvasa Muni was going to kill him. That's how renounced he was. But this renouncement was not a renouncement that happened by cultivating renouncement, but this renouncement was a natural byproduct of his attachment to Krishna. This is the point of this verse that, and Prabhupada says this in his purports, right? And he says this by quoting a very, very famous verse given by Narada Muni. What is that verse? Does anybody remember? This is the definition of bhakti that Narada Muni gives. Yeah, Prabhupada gives the second half of the verse though. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. He says this is bhakti. And what is bhakti? Rishikena rishikesha sevanam. Rishikesh means the master of the senses. We use our senses in the service of the master of the senses. And when we are doing this, Narada Muni says two things happen as a result of this activity. He says, Sarva upadi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam. Upadi means what? Designations. All of us have so many designations that we have stuck all these labels to ourselves, right? I'm an Indian, an American, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm an engineer, doctor, lawyer, mother, father. I mean, you can, unlimited labels that we have stuck to ourselves, designations we give to ourselves, which is not what a real identity is, right? All these upadis, vinirmuktam, they start fading away when we start engaging our senses in the master of the senses. And our senses start getting purified and we start seeing the things for what they actually are. That even if you have incredible wealth, you will look at it as what? How did Maharaj Ambarish look at it as? A piece of stone. That's all it is. The reality of all of that is that it's just like a piece of stone. It's worthless because it's going to deteriorate. Nothing is going to be permanent in this world. If I start going after that, it is not going to give me anything. This realization happens only when we start using our senses in serving the master of the senses. Because we use our senses in serving our own senses. We start serving ourselves, right? That's how we use our senses in this world. How can I eat something nice? How can I see something nice? How can I smell something nice? How can I taste something nice? How can I touch something nice? This is what all of us are trying to do in this world. But when we change that perspective and then try to use those senses in the service of the master of the senses by saying, okay, Krishna, let me first offer you the food that I'm eating and let me honor that as prasadam. Right? Every single thing, every single sense, we can start using it in the service of Krishna. Then we start realizing our actual identity. All our upadis start fading away. Oh, I'm a spirit soul. Oh, I have this relationship with Krishna. Oh, this is my Lord. This is how I have to serve my Lord. All these realizations start happening. And as a natural result of that, our attachment to Krishna increases. And our detachment from the material world increases. This is the verse from the 11th canto. I forget the verse. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, bhaktir pareshanubhavam viraktir anyatra. Yes. Oh, if somebody has double parked a car in the parking lot, there's it. Anybody here? Okay. Thank you, Mother Kunti. Thank you. No, it's okay. So this is the verse from the Bhagavatam that speaks about bhaktir pareshanubhavam viraktir anyatra. It compares performing devotional service to eating. So when we start eating, it says you can verify that. I am just three things start to happen. It says, right? What happens? The first thing that happens when we start eating is satiation of hunger. Right? We are hungry. That's why we ate. So that hunger starts going down. What else happens? What else happens as a result of the food that we put in the mouth? Yeah, that is yeah, we are nourished first, and then we are completely like satisfied, right? At some point, like I don't want to eat more, I'm like completely satisfied. It is compared to devotional service. When we perform devotional service, when we use our senses in serving the master of the senses, and all these three things occur simultaneously, right? It is not that the nourishment happens like you're eating and automatically every bite you take, the satisfaction increases, the nourishment increases, your hunger decreases. So all these happen simultaneously. So similarly, when we perform devotional service, three things happen simultaneously, it is said. One is we get bhakti, right, which is basically going to give us satisfaction. This is what will actually give us satisfaction in this world. The hunger is compared to that of our attachment to material things. That starts going down, and we are nourished from within. Our relationship to Krishna starts developing. So naturally, as a result of performing devotional service, these three things start happening simultaneously. But for us to perform it the right way, we need the guidance of a spiritual master. How can I use my senses in the service of the master of the senses? Many times we're thinking we are using our senses in serving the master of the senses, but it's actually to serve ourselves. You know, I might worship the deity, but I'm not really worshipping the deity to satisfy Krishna, but to really do something that I want to do. Right? I might want to offer prasadam to the Lord, but I'm not really doing what Krishna wants, but I'm doing what I might want. So we need the guidance of a spiritual master so that he can guide us properly in these most basic things, so that if the foundation is set, then we can start building little by little on top of it, and then get our natural attraction for Krishna awakened. It is there in all of us, right? What is this verse again from the Chaitanya Charitamrita? Shravan Adi Shuddhe Chitta Karaya Uday. What is the beginning? But the verse that I said says Shravan Adi. When we Shravana Adi means hearing, and Adi, all the other process of devotional service. When we start doing that, Shuddhe Chitta. Chitta means our consciousness. Shuddha means it's cleansed. When we start performing these devotional services, our Shuddha Chitta happens, our mirror of consciousness is cleansed, and Karaya Udaya. What Karaya Udaya? Udaya means it rises. Our dormant love for Krishna rises. This bhakti or this relationship that we have with Krishna is innate in all of us. It is not something that we have to get from outside. It is there in each one of us. It's just that it's completely covered now. And the way to reawaken our dormant love for Krishna is through following the process of devotional service. And Ambarish Maharaj is the gold standard of performing all of this, because he could perform all 9 limbs of devotional service. Can you imagine? This is how exalted Ambarish Maharaj was. So we can discuss so much about this, but these are some of the thoughts, and I would like to have some discussion or reflection, questions, comments on what we have heard so far.
Very nice class, by the way. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Very nice class. I wanted to mention something that I heard the other day that really helped me. It was amazing, and it really had to do with what you were saying about like how the spiritual master engages us in service so that it's actually for the pleasure of the Lord, not for our senses, right? And it goes like this. You know the game Monopoly?
Yeah.
You're playing Monopoly, and you pull a card, and the card says, chant Hare Krishna. And so you chant Hare Krishna, but the reason why you're chanting Hare Krishna is to play the game. We don't want to chant Hare Krishna to play the game. We want to chant Hare Krishna to please the Lord. When I heard this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is such an amazing thing, because we see so many times that people are chanting Hare Krishna for 20 years, and anyways, there can not be the progress that we feel like should be there in the sense. So let's make sure that we're doing our service and chanting Hare Krishna, not to play the game, not to play not to manipulate the material world and manipulate others and stuff like that. Let's do it because it's for the pleasure of the Lord.
Yes, that is true. But I want to say it starts off with playing the game, right? But it cannot stay there. It cannot just stay there. In the beginning, we are saying, "Oh Krishna, I'm chanting this so that I want to be relieved of so many of these distresses, or I want this, or I want that," which is still okay. We're at least coming to Krishna for all of that, which is Krishna really appreciates that. But after that, we have to start doing this so that we can develop our relationship with Krishna, which is what we ultimately want to do, right? And which means we want to know what the other person wants in any relationship, not just give me this, give me that, give me this, I want to do this because I want this. At some point, we have to ask, what does my beloved want? What does Krishna really want? And it can, with this Harinam at least, just this one thing. In the beginning, we are saying, Krishna, please engage me in your service, right? And you can be so much more, as we start chanting, we're focusing, we're getting purified. I've heard that chanting also can be done as a service to pacify Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? He is constantly in the pangs of separation from Krishna, and we're chanting the holy names to please Mahaprabhu, to alleviate his separation from Krishna. This is a really high level of service to Krishna, right? It is not anywhere close to where we begin with. But in the beginning, we're asking Krishna to be engaged in service. And what is that service? So that we can please Krishna. That is service, right? Not so that I can be pleased. The entire motive of our services is, how can I please Krishna? How can I please my spiritual master? How can I please the devotees?
I really appreciate this point of that we all start by playing the game. It's so true, right? Because we're used to, what's my identity? Who am I in? Who am I? Everything circles around us, right?
What's in it for me?
Yeah, right?
This is the thing in the corporate world, right? The first thing that they ask, what's in it for me?
And so we got to be careful in Krishna consciousness. We don't become content in the niceness of it. I got nice prasadam. I got nice friendships.
Becomes a cultural thing.
We just become relaxed and stuff. So we got to make sure that we're pushing ourselves to question ourselves and ask those questions. Am I doing this because it's comfortable and nice, or is this for Krishna?
And also the most progress happens when we are in a little bit of discomfort. Right? When we are completely comfortable in a situation, there is no progress. And we are completely in discomfort, there is no progress also. These two extremes, there is no progress. But we have to push ourselves just a little bit so that there is some discomfort involved. So that's where this progress happens.
If we don't, Krishna will start pushing us.
That is true. That is true. That is true. For those who have taken shelter of Krishna, he will do it. Any other thoughts?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for a very nice class. Like you were saying, when we eat, we feel nourished and less hunger. So like that, when we listen to your class, we feel nourished and fully satisfied and less hunger. So
thank you. You're very kind.
I hope you have the time availability to come and give more classes in the morning, so we feel more nourished. In the beginning, you were giving us the visual, and for me, it's always hard to remember which Manu, but it was a very nice, like a family tree you were giving.
Yeah.
This Manu has 5 kids, and then this Manu, and then all these cantos. Do you have that, or so it's just so easy. The way you put it down, it was just like, okay, if I can just see it in the visual in the tree, then it's so easy for. I
can find it. This is not coming from. This is from my spiritual master. No, this is the way he arranges. There is a big chart and things like that, but the way, what is easier for me is these acronyms that he created. Right? DAP up. It's then the 5 cantos are right there for me. And each canto has acronyms that he has and things like that. But I can find that for you. This is something that he created when he did his Bhakti Vaibhav and Bhakti Vedanta. So I'm sure it's there somewhere. I can find it for you.
Thank you. And also appreciating how Prabhupada is bringing spiritual master forefront, and you were highlighting. So that was very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm always amazed by how, this is why I think every single purport of Srila Prabhupada is incredible, important. Right? We're focusing on this. There was one other purport that we couldn't read. The Acharya brings his realization in a very unique way. The Prabhupada directly gets to the core of, okay, these are all there, but how do you practically do this? Right? The first thing that you have to do for you to practically do all of the things that Maharaj Ambarish is trying to do, actually is doing incredibly well and completely attached to Krishna, is first taking shelter of a spiritual master. If we don't have that connection, like if I was going to speak about it, I would have started speaking about Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam and all of these things, right? And I was going back and reading 7, 5, 23 or 24, 23, 24, I think, or 7, 4, I forget. That's the verse, Shravanam Kirtanam verse. Those 2 verses are together in the 7th canto, right? Prabhupada's purports are one of the longest purports for that, those 2 verses. Yeah, it's just incredible. And specifically, he focuses on grihasthas in that verse. And you know which limb or which process of devotional service he focuses on there for the grihasthas? Shravana. Yeah, deity worship.
Nitya Siddha.
Yeah, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai. This is it. The Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai is, this Krishna Prema cannot be fetched from somewhere outside. Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta. It's Nitya Siddha, it's eternally there. But it just arises by,
And also the verse that you discussed about 11:242.
Yeah.
Bhaktir Virakti Anyatha. That is a wonderful purport as well. So if we all would read it, it will be. Thank you for the class, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Okay, we'll stop here now. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha, patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, just one announcement. This Saturday, tomorrow at 9 a.m., we'll